Imagine three colors you've never seen, colors that shouldn't exist, and then realizing your eyes can still summon them. Not with magic, but with the rules your vision already uses every day. In the next 10 minutes, you'll meet colors that aren't in rainbows, hues that look brighter than any screen can show, and mixtures your brain normally forbids. By the end, you'll know why color isn't a property of light. It's a story your brain tells beautifully and sometimes cheekily. Start with the easiest impossible color, magenta. Split white light with a prism and you get a spectrum from red to violet. Slide along that spectrum forever and you'll never land on magenta or pure purple as a single wavelength. Yet you see magenta all the time: LEDs, clothes, neon signs. What gives? Your eye has three cone types tuned roughly to long, medium and short wavelengths. When long and short cones fire strongly while the middle cone stays comparatively quiet, your brain refuses to call that red and blue at once. It closes the spectrum into a circle and invents a label to bridge the ends: magenta. Physics supplies two corners of the rainbow. Perception builds the bridge. To understand the rest, you need one key idea: opponent channels. Early in the visual pathway, cone signals are recoded into contrasts: red versus green, blue versus yellow, and light versus dark. Push one end of a channel up and the other end goes down. That wiring is why reddish green and yellowish blue sound like contradictions. Under ordinary viewing, the same patch can't be both directions at once. Now take a detour through afterimages, the doorway to colors that feel more intense than anything paint or pixel scan deliver. Stare at a saturated color for long enough and the cones serving that hue get a little tired. Look away at a neutral surface and their opponent wins for a moment. Green follows red, yellow follows blue. Usually the ghost is faint. But under the right conditions, the afterimage can stack with what you're actually looking at next and produce a new percept that leaps beyond the normal range. These are chimerical colors and they come in three flavors. Self-luminous colors feel like they glow even on dim paper. Self-luminous blue is a blue that seems to emit light. Hyperbolic colors look more saturated than any real pigment. Hyperbolic orange that feels hotter than neon. Stygian colors are colored and impossibly dark at the same time. Stygian blue that's bluer than blue, yet darker than black. What's happening? Your afterimage pushes an opponent channel in the same direction as the actual scene, like two people pushing a swing in sync. The signal goes beyond what cone stimulation alone can reach, and your brain just reports it. Do forbidden mixtures ever peek through? Yellowish blue, reddish green. Under stabilized viewing, where the image is locked on the same tiny retinal patch and adaptation is carefully provoked, some observers report odd blends that feel like both at once. Others don't. The debate is real, but the lesson stands. Color lives in opponent circuits and timing, not in a single color ray from the world. Let's widen the category: extra-spectral colors. Magenta is one, but most purples and pinks are too. No single wavelength is pink. Pink is your brain's label for certain combinations, roughly red plus not green plus some blue. Designers rely on this every day because there's no pink laser that hits pink by itself. You mix to get there. Next up, out-of-gamut colors, the ones your brain can see but your screen can't show. Every display draws from three primaries, which form a triangle of reachable colors. Real-world lights and surfaces live in a larger shape. That turquoise you remember from Tropical Water or Astasia's laser green might sit outside your device's triangle. That's why travel footage sometimes feels dull compared to memory. An afterimage can momentarily punch your perception past the device's limit, making a familiar image feel impossibly vivid. because your brain, not the pixels, is doing the extra work. Different spectra can also collapse to the same color code in your eye. These are metamers. A narrow band green from two lasers and a broad sunlight-like green can be physically different yet look identical because your three-channel system treats them the same. That's useful for display engineering and also explains everyday puzzles like the dress. Your color constancy system tries to keep objects looking stable across lighting changes, and sometimes different observers pick different assumed light, landing on different percepts from the same photons. Motion and edges can paint fake color too. Neon color spreading. Put a ring of colored line segments on a gray field and the interior looks faintly tinted, as if a soft glow pooled inside the ring. Your brain fills surfaces under uncertain edges. Spin a black and white Benham's top, and many people see blushes of red and green that aren't on the disc. Small timing differences between cone pathways leak into perception as fleeting color. There's also a mathematical class called imaginary colors, points in a color space that are useful for calculation but correspond to no possible spectrum hitting real cones. You can't see them directly, but afterimages and chimerical tricks can make you feel like you're leaning toward that edge, the way negative numbers aren't real apples, but still help you balance a book. What about ultraviolet and infrared, the colors that truly don't exist for us because we lack the hardware? Bees see UV nectar guides. Some birds flash UV plumage. You can't directly see those channels without different receptors. But you do get indirect quirks. Very deep violets sometimes feel extra vivid because short-wave cones leak a bit of sensitivity, and as lenses age, they yellow slightly, trimming deep blues. Two people can look at the same scarf and live in slightly different color worlds because their optics and adaptation differ. Color is not stamped on objects, it's negotiated among the light, your eye, and your brain's best guess. Okay, how do you use any of this? First, enjoy it. Watch a sunset and notice the pinks that no prism holds. Let a neon sign bleed a haze that isn't physically in the air. Your cortex is painting that glow. Second, design with it. If a scene looks flat, change context before cranking saturation. Complementary surrounds, subtle motion, and timing can make colors pop without clipping the gamut. A brief colored pre-flash can set up an afterimage that makes a static interface element feel richer than its raw hex value. Third, reset your eyes when accuracy matters. A cafe's warm bulbs make whites creamy and greens tired. Shade does the opposite. Carry a neutral gray card if you choose paint, clothes, or stage gels. Glance at the card to clear adaptation, then decide. Without a reset, your perception quietly invents colors that don't exist outside that room's lighting. Fourth, when you evaluate new displays or cameras, remember metamerism and gamut. Ask which primaries the device uses. Look at a cyan green gradient and a deep magenta ramp, and try a saturated traffic cone orange. If those corners look dull, the device's triangle is small. That's a hardware limit, not a failure of your memory. Let's revisit our three headline ideas in one breath each. Magenta and friends. Extra-spectral colors your brain invents to make perception simple and continuous. Chimerical colors. After-image boosted experiences. Self-luminous, hyperbolic, stygian, that jump beyond what light alone can drive. Opponent wiring. The red, green, and blue-yellow axes set your everyday rules. Unusual stabilization and timing can bend those rules at the edges. If you want to try a safe home demo in a minute, do this. Stare at a bright, saturated blue square on your screen for 20 to 30 seconds. Then look at a dim, slightly bluish-gray patch, not pure gray. For a few seconds, the blue can feel self-luminous, bluer than blue, almost glowing. That's a chimerical taste. Or stare at a red patch, then look at a neutral wall and watch the world tilt cyan. The wall didn't change, your channels did. And if you want a one-line definition to carry out of this video, take this. Color is a brilliant compression algorithm. The world sends a complex spectrum. Your brain writes a short, useful headline, sometimes magenta, sometimes glowing blue, sometimes a choice your neighbor's brain edits differently. The point isn't to catch your senses lying, it's to admire how well they work and to know where their shortcuts create wonder. So the next time a screen disappoints your memory of the sea, don't blame your eyes, blame a tiny triangle. The next time a neon sign seems to haze the air, smile at your cortex for filling in. And the next time someone says, that color doesn't exist, you can answer, not in the rainbow, but very much in here, and tap the side of your head. The most astonishing colors you'll ever see are not out there in the spectrum. They're in the space between photons and perception, where your brain turns physics into experience.